Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Now you understand, Sensible Don, why I stay in the doghouse.
I can understand that. Did they catch up with you again?
The things that I say
sanction
that come back to sanction me.
Yeah, they follow you around, don't they?
I think we've begun a tradition, Sensible Don. This will be the third day in a row, and that makes it a tradition, I think. And I thought of this. I actually have enough to keep this going 365 days a year. Obviously, you have nothing to share with the American jury.
I've had
but
no
I
life.
have plenty to share.
I have no life up to this point.
Do you have any pictures of Speedy Thomas's wife that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what I'm about ready to show the American jury here on our video cast, and of course I got to describe it for our listening audience. But you want to see this, you can go to the video podcast, which will be up later today, is a photograph of me in my power broker days, Sensible Don. In this picture, I would guesstimate that I was about 23 or 4.
Why do you look 16?
And I look like I'm 16.
Yeah, easy 16.
The tie that I am wearing is a silk red tie that my mama brought back from Italy for me.
Right.
But on my left is Bob Dole. Bob Dole is on my left.
In his younger days.
In his younger days. And to my right is Senator Mitch McConnell in his younger days.
Plastic man.
Now, this was at an event that was called for Bob Dole and Mitch McConnell. They wanted to get my insights. This was when I was in the establishment. This was when I was in the club car. This is when I was a power broker and heads of state. People like Senator McConnell and Senator Dole would call upon me for advice and counsel.
But
I was a power broker. Now, here is what I am so much proud of, is I was in the club car, Don.
Yes.
4th Congressional Chairman, County Chairman, State Central Committee, hobnobbing with McConnell, Dole, and Bush, and the rest of them. And you know, one day I woke up and I said, I hate this. And I walked away from the power, Don.
Answer this for me.
It didn't consume me. I walked away from the power.
When the guys walk into the room and they say, well, we got this guy in Kentucky that can handle any problem we got, and they walk in the room and see this kid sitting there, what did they say? You
know what they said? This is what the editorials of the newspaper said. They called me, Sensible Don, the boy wonder.
Uh-oh, and that's true. Look at you.
I'm not kidding. I was called the boy wonder.
All right. Anybody can turn a guy getting a 16 or 15-year-old girl pregnant into a good thing. You
right.
are definitely the wonder.
I got a little bit of fan mail for us, Don. This is, let me see. This is from Bulldog Nation member Kevin, who claims that they just love our show. Every morning we listen to you and Don as we eat breakfast.
That is a good thing.
As a conversation-minded business owner, former history teacher, football coach, and farm boy, I resonate with much of what you share. My wife, Tricia, who's a teacher in Boone County, is also a fan. How do you like that, Don?
Sounds good. You know, when people share breakfast with us, that's a good thing.
Now, listen to this one. Eric, this is from Bulldog Nation member Clint. Just thought I would let you know my 21-year-old daughter is probably your biggest fan. We were up in Fairfield, Ohio this weekend, and she saw your billboard, and she squealed.
No, she didn't. You got
Hope someday we bump into you and she can meet you. You two would hit it off, I think.
Uh-oh. You got squealing fans, young?
21-year-old female fans, Bulldog. We are not only attracting the men's men, but 21-year-old women.
Bulldog, you're a rock star.
Now, this...
Your Honor, they say they're 21.
Now, what makes this especially appealing is Clint here is a former law school classmate of mine.
Uh-oh.
So here he is, has no bones about telling me his daughter squealed looking at my picture.
All right, then.
Are people squealing when they're seeing my picture on billboards?
I believe so.
I tell you right now. Also, I got another big news to report. Have you ever heard of Bill Bennett? used to be part of the administration, I think, of Ronald Reagan,
no doubt about it.
author of the Books of
Wrote some
Virtue.
books, right?
Somebody that I'm not allowed to mention his name anymore was telling me last night that he is on, Bill Bennett's on 400 morning radio shows.
Bennett?
Bill Bennett. And that person, I'm not supposed to say his name, told me, he goes, you are 10 times the morning talk show host as Bill Bennett.
Most dry. He has those dry.
That's what I
delivery.
said. I mean, I've listened to him before. He sucks. I mean, I like the guy, but he sucks.
On national TV, the 10 seconds there was too much.
All right, this day in history in 1862, the Battle Hymn of the Republic was published. Maybe later on in the show, we can have that up. TC will find that, and we'll just play some version of the battle. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Carrie get the date
He is
right
trampling.
What? Did Carrie get the date right this time?
Yeah. Let me see here. Ken Kesey's novel in 1962, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, good movie.
1982, the premiere of David Letterman. The Space Shuttle Columbia broke up during re-entry, killing all 7. That was in 2003. We have some good birthdays today. Lauren Conrad, actress. Lisa Marie Presley, the King's daughter, 43. Rick James, 63.
Rick James.
I'm Rick James.
I'm Rick James. Don't you know who
I'm Rick James.
I'm Rick James.
I can't say that word. It's one of the. I'm Rick James.
And Eddie Murphy.
My good buddy Stretch, Jeff Weaver, could do the best imitation of Rick James, man. Oh, my God. And then, I'm rich. Rhymes with rich.
Oh, Rick James. My man.
You know, I was thinking this is funny about our 3-day forecast. Today, AM showers. Thursday, partly cloudy. Friday, partly cloudy. Do you know that any iPhone, you can just hit weather and up pops the weather? Why do we waste our time giving out the weather?
And they pay these guys to do that. Just push your app.
And I got a jackwagon of the day, which is a preemptive. This is the first ever preemptive jackwagon strike.
Preempted?
In other words, we're giving somebody a jackwagon before they win it. Madonna. Halftime,
no
Super Bowl,
no doubt about
disaster.
No
Can we all
agree
that we might as well jackwagon up Madonna right now? It's our first ever preemptive jackwagon.
I agree. No doubt about it. I asked her, why is she doing this?
And the oracle of the day, we got to give it up to him. Mitt with a son named Tag.
He won it.
Won Florida. And we've already announced him the GOP nominee.
Why ain't going away?
So we might as well give it to him.
Knew they ain't gave up yet, though.
We might as well. History story. George Harvey arrived at Chicago's Blackstone's Hotel in June of 1920. He was there to attend the Republican National Convention. The prominent GOP leader from New York City checked into a spacious 2-room suite, 404. Was destined to become the most famous hotel room in American political history. Why?
I want to know.
It was the original smoke-filled room. After 4 ballots, the convention found itself deadlocked between 2 presidential candidates, General Leonard Wood and Illinois Governor Frank Loudon. A distant 4th in the balloting, out of the picture really, was another candidate, Ohio Senator Warren G. Harding. Harding was the first and only editor of a newspaper that was president.
Okay.
Just tells you don't elect editors as presidents. Through the hot and sultry night that followed, a group of party leaders met in Harvey's room looking for a way out of the deadlock. I wonder if they had any, women of the night there, too, and
sure
liquor
did,
and smoking and dirty deeds. Bypassing the front runners, they seized on the little-known Harding as the candidate least offensive to all. Isn't that great where you elect presidents least offensive to all?
That's what we had.
They summoned Harding and told the surprise candidate. We walked in the room. What? Me?
I had no idea.
Can you imagine? What if this happens in the GOP convention in Tampa? They call me. I'm licensed to practice law in Florida.
Right.
Hey, Bulldog, can you come down here to Tampa for a minute? Me? Well, what about my radio show?
Don't worry about that. Come on down.
I want you to know that I would not give up radio to be president. Maybe I would. As the dawn broke, AP reporter Kirk Simpson filed a story saying Harding of Ohio was chosen by a group of men in a smoke-filled room early today. Harding went on to win the nomination and become president. And that's how we got smoke-filled room. True story. The first ever, this is a little local political history. The first ever campaign commercial for a Northern Kentucky local race on network television on 5, 9, 12, and 19 was the 1989 election of Clyde Middleton. I ran his campaign. And we decided, we acted like we weren't going to do television. We did 1 week of television. First ever local race to buy 5, 9, 12, and 19. And the commercial, which I came up with, was the smoke-filled room. And what it was a room that had smoke coming out of it, and you could hear like big boss voices. Right, who got a point? Blah, blah, blah. Because we were running against Bob Oldemire, the machine. The elect Clyde Middleton was the can we were supporting. And that was the commercial that we aired, the smoke-filled room.
And did it work?
It worked. We won in a landslide. And that's when they started calling me the boy wonder, baby. Here, let's do the joke real quick because it's real quick. Starbucks has 3 new coffee blends. One is blonde, guaranteed not to lower your IQ. This is the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160.
Simon Kenton beat Cooper last night, 66-54. They're now 16-7 on the season. Friday, the Pioneers will be at Ryle. Steve Jarnicki has the pregame starting at 7:06. Tip-off at 7:30. Right here on Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Sensible Don, this is the Bulldog with Sensible Don on Real Talk 1160. God, I love that song.
I got to ask you a question.
Ask away, Don.
I got to ask you a question. I have to know this. At one time, you were the man that everybody wanted to be, the man with the power, the man that could control governors.
I was 24.
Yeah, and 24, a young man that had all this power. And all of a sudden, I'm riding in the club car and they say, oh, hell, let me off. Why did you get out the club car, Bulldog?
Sensible Don, I'll never forget when I was the Kenton County chairman and the 4th Congressional Republican chairman, you become obsessed with power and trying to control everything. When there were special elections, you were involved in trying to control who was going to do what. And what happens is after a while, you learn you can't control everything, but you're still supposed to try to control everything, and it drives you nuts. You create friends, you create enemies, I'll tell you one of the things, when I started making people who were my friends mad at me, I realized it was time to go. One of my best friends, I alienated because I didn't think he was the best choice for a special election and supported somebody else. And I said, what's more important? So one day I'm in the big conference room where we held our Republican Executive Committee. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around the room and I'm saying, half these people are my friends. Half these people hate my guts. What the hell am I doing this for? The next day I resigned, just out of the blue. I said, I'm out of here. I used to be in smoke. See, this is why I understand politics. I'm glad I did it because I understand. I was in those smoke-filled rooms with governors, former governors. I was in private club car meetings with Governor Nunn, Senator McConnell, Bunning, and some Democrats, because I meddled in both parties. Brereton Jones, John Y. Brown. I was in a room with John Y. Brown when he was running for governor, and he was supposed to win, and Wilkinson upset him, where they were picking who was going to do what. I saw the deal of who was going to be the banking commissioner if Brown was. All these things. I've been in those rooms, so I know how it works. But I tell you right now, I just said, I walked away from it. Walked away. But they did. They called me the boy wonder. This is funny. I walked off the plank for Larry Forgy, who's going to be my law partner. Larry Forgy was the rebel, see? And I identified with him. So I left the establishment to support Forgy, and I walked off the plank. And by the way, he only lost by 1,800 votes statewide. And Forgy, now listen, I was only 20. I was 26 at the time, I think. Listen to this. Forgy told me in that deep voice of his. Now, I was the only person up here in Northern Kentucky. If he would have won all the appointments, all the committees, you wanted anything, you wanted a road built in Northern Kentucky, they were going to come through me, all right? I didn't get that power of 18 votes. Forgy looks at me and he says, Deters, you're going to have so much power. We're going to have to sit you down with your daddy to temper it a little bit. We're going to have somebody looking out for you so you don't get out of control with the power you're going to have. Now think about it. That was the guy that was going to give me the power, was looking out for me, but he basically acknowledged I was going to have the power. Now how cool would that be?
No. That's a blessing in disguise now. Let's stop and think about that for a second.
I know, it's a blessing in disguise. I got the hell out of politics
you would have
because
had
I've
such
been in
a
jail.
headache.
How much you want to give me for that road? 100,000 cash?
Somebody would have been bringing you Big Macs.
Exactly. I probably would have went to jail. Listen, Listen to this. True story, guys. Can you imagine? And see, people don't realize this happens. It's a patronage person. What would have happened is somebody wanted get a road built or funding and whatnot. They'd have to come to me to make the phone call to Forgy to say, hey, Governor, we want to support this. I mean, I've been in the rooms when this happened. 17, the 4-lane highway that got improved out in 17, and everybody acts like, oh, the county. That got done for one reason. Charlie Deters called Governor Jones.
Simple as that.
My dad said, Governor, we got to get this road fixed. Everybody can say, oh, it was the transportation. No, it wasn't.
Charlie Deters.
That was done because, hey, all of you that ride the 4-lane up the hill, whether you like it or not, thank Charlie Deters if you like it and cuss his name if you don't. I was in their damn room. That's the way stuff gets done. You don't think right now in the state of Ohio, coming up on Super Tuesday, people are jockeying for power and influence with Romney. I'll tell you somebody who's in the club car, Portman.
Is that? Yeah,
oh
absolutely.
my God. He's a U.S. Senator, Republican, club car.
He's right there.
Kasich, club car.
Right. Power. But that tells me something else I believe about you. You respect your friends. You will stick by your friends.
Absolutely. In fact, you know what? I learned a lesson like that. I'm the kind of guy now, I'll go down with the ship with a friend. Oh, this is another interesting story. Everybody I ever supported for political office that won betrayed me.
Is that right? Oh,
everyone I supported for political office that lost remains my friend.
Is that right?
True story. I got betrayed by Clyde Middleton the day after he won.
He's gone.
We go to Bob Evans and have breakfast, and he tells me he's going to appoint Boing to the airport board, and I'm like, Clyde, those guys were against us. And he asked me to be nice to them. I said, we just got finished beating the hell out of them. And he promised legal work to 3 different law firms.
Right.
He went to the law firms that had it and said, hey, I'm going to renege on my promises to these 3 firms, so I got to have you ante up. So he betrayed us and kept them. So the next election, they had to ante up the money. God, politics. Politics sucks, folks.
Ain't no doubt about that.
I know. And you know what now I do? Now I don't ask for, I never, by the way, I never asked for it. I didn't even ask anything for Clyde. Clyde's the one that came. I would be working, practicing law. He said, oh, you got plenty of time. We're going to do a lot of things for you when you get, oh, really? Betrayal. The day after the election. It's amazing how all of a sudden the day after the election, they forget. Oh, here's another funny story about Clyde's campaign. This is great. He was waiting for John Weaver to die because he had cancer to run for his Senate seat because Weaver had beat him, okay? I swear to God, that's a true story. He was waiting for Weaver to die, all right? So we were trying to get him to run for judge executive. Gene Daniels and I, we were doing this poll. We went to do a poll to kind of show, hey, Clyde, look, you could win. There was 300 people you polled in Kenton County for a sample poll. I grabbed 100 of those forms and checked Clyde's name and put them back in the stack. So so when the poll came out with the final results, Clyde was kicking Oldemeyer's butt. So Clyde felt like, God dang, I'm going to run. Yeah, you want to run? So we got him to run. So after he wins, he goes, well, I was beating him in the beginning. And he said, yeah, because I fixed the poll. I fixed the poll to convince him to run. Hey, he won though. Yeah, he won.
But I've noticed whenever you go to dinner or lunch, somebody screws you there. Your friend left you.
Here's another thing. I've been in these lunches and these dinners too, man. After Clyde won, we go down to celebrate the conservatory at this dinner. It's Clyde and his wife and my dad and my mom and me and my wife and Vance Trimble and his wife, the editor, the former editor of the newspaper. And I'm sitting there and Vance Trimble, I was next to Vance, so I spent the whole dinner talking to Vance. And Vance leaned over and he said, you have to understand, I was on track at that time. People were talking about me being a governor. I'm not kidding you. They spoke to me like I was going to be governor. Now I should have listened to Vance because Vance said my first political race, I should have ran for a big race, like a governor or Congress or something, instead of a little local race where you got petty politics. Right. People don't realize this. I mean, a lot of politicians will even lose their home precinct. Well, the reason why is you make a lot of enemies close to home. Right. Well, anyway, I didn't listen to him. I should have, but he said, I'll never forget this conversation. Vance leans, by the way, Vance is almost 100 years old, still writing books in Oklahoma. He's blind. Vance leans over to me and he said, I got to ask you a question. He said, if you could be president of the United States or head of General Motors, what would you be? And I was quick. I said, president. He said, nah. He said, if you're General Motors, you can be there longer than 8 years.
Right.
You got lots of money. And if you ever pick the phone up and call the president, he's going to call you back.
Thank you.
But let me tell you why I chose president. I said, yeah, but I look at it different. I would do it from an historical standpoint. Nobody remembers who the hell's the General Motors, but as the president, you're remembered.
Right.
You know, you make a mark. But Vance was probably right.
You're absolutely right.
All right, let's get to Shakespeare.
Why not?
It is a wise father that knows his own child.
You got that right. And you do a good job at that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do a real good
Word
job
of the
at that.
day, infamy.
Infamy.
Yeah, I got some infamy. Notoriety, extreme ill repute.
Oh, there was a day that we'll live in infamy.
When we come back from this break, Sensible Don, we're going to get to pop culture. I hope everybody enjoyed those stories. I am told by our fans that they enjoy the stories.
I enjoyed that. It's funny.
I tell you what, the political stories, I have so many of them. It's so funny. My grandpa, I'll never forget my cousin Josh and I, we went to, Uncle Jerry had a party for John Y. Brown and Phyllis George was there. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Phyllis George,
Right.
in person, more beautiful than she was on TV in her prime. And I remember Josh and I we were like 20, early 20s. We were like,
oh, man.
geez, all Pete.
This is what politics all about?
She kind of made me nervous just talking to her. I mean, she was just stunning.
I got the title to your book.
What's that?
Politics Hypocrite. That's what will be on the page.
Now, here's what I was going to write a book about politics. It was going to
It's a
call.
bit redundant, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah,
Gonna,
that's what I mean.
No, I was going to call it the chapter in my autobiography on politics is going to be this: sizzle and fizzle. Because I went from being boy wonder, the nuclear warhead of energy. That's what the Kentucky Post editorial, when Clyde Middleton once said, the Republicans do the same old thing and they never win. See, they hadn't elected a judge executive for 180 years. So then they said, along came Eric Deters, a nuclear warhead of energy.
And you are that.
When we come back, we're going to give you some pop culture on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog, on Real Talk 1160. Raising a little hell. Ace Hardware, Appliance Loft, Aroma Restaurant and Sushi, and Cafe Mediterranean. 4 of our sponsors. Hey, a little, before we move on to pop culture, fast forward a little bit. Clyde Middleton ended up having to plead guilty to a misdemeanor for letting Bill Butler see the bids, opening up bids that were supposed to be sealed to show Butler. And then his son, John Middleton, who's currently the Kenton County court clerk, who I've buried the hatchet with. But during my campaign I couldn't be a candidate because I get too mad. I'm the kind of guy like, okay, I'm going to duel my opponent. Like, if I was Newt Gingrich, I'd be wailing on Romney right now. But that little pooper at a prayer breakfast said one of the meanest, just the most vilest slanders and libels, and I sued him.
And you sued him?
I sued him.
In court?
Got an apology, and then dismissed the case.
That's what you wanted?
That's what I wanted.
Dueling, suing?
That's one thing about people that want to libel and slander me. They know I will sue them. They may not care, but if you libel and slander me, I will sue you.
Straight to court.
I will sue you.
That's right. You are a lawyer, aren't you?
In pop culture, Sensible Don.
This name.
Elizabetta Canellis,
And that who is who?
George's ex, is now dating Jackass's Steve-O. I think that's a drop-off.
Oh, drop down.
Steve
Wait.
Clooney to Steve-O. His name is Steve-O. TC, you're TC. Why don't you TCD or TCO?
Oh.
TCO.
Oh.
Lindsay Lohan is moving out of her Venice Beach pad, spooked by trespassers. I say now she's broke and she's using the trespasser as an excuse.
Can't pay the rent.
It's like when Jeff Ruby closed Tropicana down at the levee.
Right.
The excuse was, well, I've been sued for infringement. Yeah.
Infringement, I ain't making
By the
no
way,
money.
since I closed Bulldogs at the levee a year ago, no new tenants.
Let's move back in.
People are sitting there saying, let me see, Ruby didn't make it, Bulldog didn't make it, it ain't gonna make it. Madonna, train wreck at halftime, we already covered that. Fox News, #1 in cable news for the next 10 years. First Lady was on Jay Leno, and I admit it, she did a good job, but it's still a bunch of BS.
She got a nice smile.
I can't stand her. She's phony. Oh, by the way, how can they make money with Mitt Romney an issue when they're going to dinners where people are paying $38,500 to give to them? I mean, what hypocrisy? Acting like Mitt Romney's one of the 1%ers. What about you?
Some of the peons could get in for $250.
Now, you know you've done something wrong. Fred Goodwin, the ex-CEO of the Royal Bank of Scotland, had his knighthood stripped.
You took his knighthood away.
That's like taking your manhood away. I hereby revoke. It's a committee. We hereby revoke your knighthood. Turn in your sword.
And your man card.
You got to turn in your sword, TC. Again, here's an interesting question. What if he refuses?
I won't give it back.
I am going to keep my sword. I shall die with it clutched in my hand.
It's like taking a Grammy back from
Yeah.
who were the guys that were lip syncing? Milli Vanilli.
Oh, Milli Vanilli.
We want that back.
Lip singing. Can you imagine?
Did they get that Grammy back?
No, they had to forfeit the Grammy.
Okay.
But they kept the money.
Today is in sports, Sensible Don. UC football. Today's the National Letter of Intent signing. UC's best class ever. Scout.com has them number 21. Rivals has them number 38. First time ever they've been under the 40. Local kids. Caleb Stacy, offensive lineman, Oak Hills. Defensive back, Andre Jones, Colerain. Defensive lineman, Ryan Leahy, LaSalle. Defensive back, Zach Edwards, Middletown. Running back, EJ Jr., Middletown. Offensive lineman, Kyle Williamson, Madeira. My son had to tackle Edwards and Jr. 2 years ago. Drake Bruns, defensive back of Highlands. He went to Summit View Middle School before going over to Highlands for high school. Good family. Good kid.
Good.
If he would have went to Simon Kenton, maybe they would have won the state championship.
That's all you need.
Wildcats destroy Tennessee 69-44. I tell you right now, UK looks unstoppable.
That's a serious beating right there.
And I put NFL. This is funny. NBA, Knicks, Lakers, and Celtics win. Chad Ochocinco at Media Day. Nothing bad to say about the Bengals or Cincinnati.
He kept his mouth shut. He was smart.
Then again, he doesn't have anything to say because he's not a factor anymore.
No, that coach told him, you act like you got some sense, so you out of here. And he said that.
Yep. One final thing. Peyton Manning says he will play again.
Why?
Because he wants to get back to a Super Bowl. I got to ask you a question. Do you think Peyton Manning is rooting for Eli or secretly saying, God, I hope he doesn't win? God, he doesn't hope he wins.
He's secretly rooting.
That's sibling rivalry.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and admit it. If my brother was going to get this real big case because I didn't get it, I'd be mad.
Yeah, sitting across the table from him at dinner would be a bad thing, wouldn't it?
Be a bad thing.
Look, as long as he wasn't taking the ring away from me.
Because I've been in
well.
I've been in the room bragging about a case, and my brothers don't say anything.
No, that's sibling rivalry. Come on, you're supposed to have brotherly love. You know, when one does well, the whole family's happy for him.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
that's right. That's
no,
right.
no,
that's
no,
right.
no,
that's
no,
right.
Not happening.
Not in real life.
In the casino, in local news, in the casino issue, there's basically a universal acknowledgement that there weren't bolts put in the beams before the concrete was poured that caused the collapse. And apparently that's common, that the cranes are expensive to rent, so you use the crane to get everything put up quickly, and then you go back and you put in the rest of the bolts. The issue becomes who didn't inspect and who didn't do what to make sure that the concrete pour wasn't done until the bolts were put in, and I guess that'll be an issue. But because everybody kind of agrees that's what happened,
right,
they're going to go ahead and start construction back today.
Why would you not put the bolts in it, and you the one got to walk on this thing?
Well, what happens is, it's one of those things. Was it the company that was doing the concrete? Was it the inspector? Did it just something slip through the cracks? But it obviously didn't happen, and they say it won't happen again.
I hope not.
You got to be happy for a Powerball winner, Ada Bennett, 69. He won the $1 million Powerball, bought it at Remke's in Taylor Mill. He's going to receive $690,000 after taxes.
Joseph Bennett.
Huh?
It was Joseph.
I thought it was Ada.
Ada's his wife.
Okay, Ada. Joseph and Ada. His wife says they're going to replace their tattered old flag.
Thank you very much. That's what I'm going to do with my
And they're not going to blow their money. They're going to use it for retirement.
I will blow it.
I'd blow it, too.
I'll blow it. Oh, overnight.
On a downer note.
They couldn't build that casino quick enough.
On a downer note, but I think it's worth mentioning, on Channel 9 last evening, I watched it. WCPO, Channel 9 did a story about homelessness. Yeah. And it was a great and a sad story.
I saw that.
And it's worth watching on the website. The problem, and by the way, just so everybody knows, I watch all channels. I admit I watch 19 and 5 more. I have more friends there, but I like Channel 9. The problem is much worse than what they play with the statistics
and the numbers, right?
And the sadness of children being homeless.
That's sad. That is true.
I mean, can you imagine, like, you don't know where you're going to sleep
each night? You can't even take a bath to go to school. That's trouble for a child.
I ought to do more even now, but if I'm ever a billionaire, I'm going to build one big dang house for the homeless people.
Back. All I want you to do is do your homework.
Beginning tomorrow is Beer Week in the Tri-State.
Sounds like a good time.
There's more than 70 events at 46 locations are scheduled. Here at Real Talk 1160, we're having a beer tasting event. Yeah. You bring the beer and we'll taste it.
Is that German heritage coming out?
My German heritage.
Beer.
Do your white relatives have German heritage?
Yes. Stan, that's right. He does. It's German background.
Let me see. In the day of the life of the Bulldog, I got a couple funny things. First of all, today I got to go from here to a deposition on my St. Bernard toxic dump case.
Is that why you dressed up looking nice today?
Yes. And then I got to go to a mediation on a police misconduct case in Judge Barrett's courtroom. This is a case in Indian Hill where Indian Hill Rangers... They thought they were going to, like, bust a tri-state heroin drug dealership, okay? They come, like, storming in, busting in the house. They found a nickel bag of pot. And they destroyed the house. I mean, destroyed the house.
Does it surprise you how stupid these people are sometimes?
Good God.
It surprises some. I mean, you can't be that stupid.
God. The Indian Hill Rangers. You know what? Those are some people that need an outlet for all that pent-up frustration watching cops with nothing to do.
Right.
I mean, Indian Hill crime rate. Well, other than the prescription drug deals going down and the heroin drug deals going down, there's no crime going on in Indian Hill. God, we got to do something. You know, I got this theory about suburban and rural cops. They watch those cop shows. They watch the cop movies, Bad Boys and all that stuff. Right. They see Will Smith and all them guys acting bad, and they sit there and go, God dang, I want to shoot my gun. I got to shoot my gun. I want to kick in a door. Come on.
They watch it too
like
much.
Like Beverly Hills 90210 cops.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's Butterbean they've been watching. That's
but here is something that I want to share with the American jury. You know, appeasement in politics doesn't work. You know, Neville Chamberlain proved that when he came back from England and held up the agreement with old Adolf and said, this is for eternal peace and all that stuff.
They should have lynched him then.
But you know what, Sensible Don? There's one area where appeasement works. The home front.
Yes, it does.
Are we in a break? That's a break?
Yes, this is a break.
When we come back, I'm going to tell you my appeasement story.
Uh-oh.
And then we got law, and we're going to hit the Florida election too.
Anything to avoid sanctions, huh?
On Real Talk 1160.
Don't forget you can listen to us live online. Just go to realtalk1160.com and click on Listen Live, and then use your TuneIn radio app on your iPhone or Droid on Real Talk 1160. Now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. I was discussing appeasement, and joining us is Dr. Lawrence Kurtzman from Kurtzman Plastic Surgery in Kenwood. He's got his own theme song.
I like that. Good morning.
Do you guys really use plastic?
People always ask me that. Where does the term plastic surgery come from? It's actually from the Latin to shape or to mold. The term came, the specialty started in 1937 as a break-off of general surgery, but that's where it came from. It's way before we ever had thermoplastics, that type of thing. We do use silicone. Okay,
like if Rush Limbaugh is like the godfather of talk radio, who's the godfather of plastic surgery?
Well, there's a bunch of them back then. You know, a lot of it is centered around wars. Every time there's a war, there's a whole lot of things learned. For example, the Vietnamese War really made vascular surgery because of all the injuries, all the blood vessels.
And you hate to say it, but because they have to do a lot of experimentation. I mean, they just got to try to figure out things, I guess.
Right, and in some of the older wars, people say, well, he's got this injury, he dies. You know, they didn't triage him, they left him on the field. It's unfortunate, but you got to take the people that you can help. But a lot of the stuff was facial injuries way back in World War I, where they had, you know, bombs and everything blown up in people's faces, destroyed. And then they're like, okay, well, let's try this, let's try that, and things progress. And it was actually the Korean War when a plastic surgeon was over there, and there were a bunch of kids with cleft lip and palate, and there were huge advances made then. He just really a very, very bright guy, English major.
Who's that actor on Friends? David Schwimmer. Did you see the movie? I think it was HBO did. Did you see the movie?
Boob Man?
Boob Man?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's about the two docs that started the silicone breast implants and were getting filthy rich. And then the lawsuits came.
Yeah, there were two doctors out of Texas. Garreau was he was actually the chief of the plastic surgery, but it was one of the residents who did all the work, and then he took a lot of the credit for it.
That's fascinating. When they first started putting them in the boobs.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to my appeasement story. I give my wife my radio check. I got a radio check yesterday, okay? So what do I do, Sensible Don, so I can keep doing radio? I give her the check.
Just hand it to her.
Yep, here's the check.
Smart man.
She puts it in a joint bank account, which doesn't mean anything, which means it could be gone. But bottom line is, how do you like that? That's how I appease.
Smart man. Smart move.
It's amazing how you can appease with money.
I thought you're not even supposed to tell them that you get a check.
I'm not.
Too late.
It's too late now.
But actually, wait. I did that for a long time. She stopped believing it. I got some good news on a couple legal matters that I'd like to share with. This is kind of interesting. The Supreme Court, when you file a motion for discretionary review, it's very difficult. I mean, the percentage is pretty small of cases that the United States Supreme Court will take. Yesterday, our petition to have them take the famous quote-unquote naked black guy case was the petition of the day on the Supreme Court's blog.
And?
Well, I think that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, if they
out of all those petitions, they're saying this is interesting.
You think Eric Holder's asking them to look at this?
No, not. You know what? He might. Maybe Eric Holder is my friend.
You got a friend, don't know it.
You know, one thing that's weird on my legal front, Obama and his friends are my kind of people.
Good for business.
And then yesterday, Larry Forgy called me up. I told everybody about this coal case that I got down in Whitley County, where this coal company just went and started taking these people's coal. Just went and started taking their coal. Now, I didn't know this, but there's apparently like all kinds of different coal. Larry tells me in Whitley County, it's called blue something. It's like a special coal that can be used in these two special made boilers. And it's very valuable because they don't want to get rid of the boiler, so you got to have this coal. Larry says the value of the coal that was taken off this farm was $60 million.
And they took it?
And a royalty is 10%, plus there's all these penalties. So we got a hell of a case.
You have.
That's a lot of coal.
It's a lot of coal.
A lot of money.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, if a coal company steals coal from your yard, call the Bulldog, 859-250-2527. Sensible Don, there's coal around here.
Yes, there is.
How do you steal $60 million worth of coal and nobody notices?
At night. Well, no, what it is, you don't live on your property.
Uh-huh.
See, what happened is they happened to be driving down the road, I mean, they don't live there. If you don't live there,
you don't check it.
You don't check it.
So they went and there's a big hole in their backyard. And
Yep. The National Football League has reached a settlement with Who Dat Inc. over the use of the catchphrase Who Dat on merchandise. The lawsuit claimed the company had trademarked the catchphrase in the 1980s and were owed royalties for any merchandise sold. Who Dat?
Yeah, that's the New Orleans Saints.
You know what? How silly is that? Who Dat? We had Who Day. Why don't we go Who Dog?
Who Dog? I trademarked that quickly. You got a trademark lawyer in your practice?
It's funny that you mention that because Carrie, who makes these mistakes every day that we talk about,
birthday mistake.
Her dad is a trademark lawyer and is in town, and I have a meeting with him tonight.
Oh, okay.
We have registered lots of things. Lots of things. I'm preparing for my national audience. Drop off a leash. A park ranger out in San Francisco Hills, some guy was walking his dogs without a leash, and she questioned him and apparently didn't give the correct name or something. So the female park ranger tased the hell out of him.
Because he gave the wrong name?
My God, do you believe it?
Out of him or the dog?
Out of him.
More people will complain if they tase the dog than if they tase
You're
him.
right.
Right.
You're absolutely right. We were talking about that yesterday. If it was Muslims that were having some issues, everybody get an uproar. Catholics, who cares? Dogs, tase. Oh, how did you tase that dog?
Sir, you will be in court. You tase the dog.
Yeah.
No doubt
Hey,
about it.
do you have that Queen song, TC? Yes. All right, we're going to play a song because we gave him Oracle status today. Mitt with a son named Tag, and because he won Florida, and we have nominated him and declared him the GOP winner. Now, Newt Gingrich might claim there's 46 states left, but we're already declared. We're the first to declare Mitt Romney the GOP nominee. How do you like that, Doc? We have declared him first as the GOP nominee. We've called it.
Well, everybody's going to have to say it was first called by the Bulldog.
That's right. I mean, all these go like through June 26th, but it's over.
It's over. It's over. It's time.
And this is for Mitt Romney, victory in Florida, and winning the GOP nomination. That's right, Mitt. You and Tag. And his wife, who only introduces him when he wins a state. Did you notice that? They didn't take old Ann out there in South Carolina. Anna, why don't you just stay here? I'll go out and take the bullet.
Yeah, I'm taking this whooping for you.
Good old Freddie Mercury.
And old Mitt Romney, or Newt saying it's people power versus money power. Hey, Newt, as an former insider in politics, that money power influences the people.
Every time. Every time.
46 to 32%. Meanwhile, Rick Santorum has illusions of grandeur. He's staying in. Newt's staying in. Paul's. You know what? These conservatives are hard-headed dudes, man.
That's why they're conservatives.
You know you're going to win when the Secret Service gives you protection.
Yes.
And a tag name.
Yeah. What's his tag name?
I don't know. We got to find that out.
No, it's
Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romanowski, Secret Service. They're going to call him Bane. He's going to be called Bane.
Maybe Bulldog 2.
And by the way, Romney is becoming sharper and sharper with each battle. He's a better candidate, has money and organizations. I wrote these down off the top of my head, Sensible Don, and I'm going to share them with you, and we'll see what the American jury. I'm going to give out the phone number, 513-579-1160. 513-579-1160 if you want to weigh in on the Florida election. Here are I wrote these off the top of my head, Sensible Don.
I'm listening.
These are Romney's pluses. His wife, his family. He seems to have no stains in his private life. The establishment is united behind him. Money raising, business experience, government experience. He's now battle tested. Independents like him. The Tea Party has no place else to go. He's developed good debating skills. He's done it before. He's got organization. He looks presidential. He's a gentleman. Obama has ties to Bain and Goldman Sachs just like he does. Just like the Obamacare-Romney care cancels each other out. He can win Michigan, which is a big state, and it's really his former home state. I mean, he's got ties to the car company, just like Obama bailing him out. The women will like him. He's got Hispanic heritage, and the economy is the main issue.
Sounds
I
good.
wrote those off the top of my head.
That's a lot of positives.
Are we at a break? It's a break. We come back, I'm going to tell you his weaknesses. 513-579-1160. This is the Bulldog with Dr. Lawrence Kurtzman, plastic surgeon, and Sensible Don on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. It is kind of funny, isn't it? 911, these people, Demi, this ain't Demi's name.
Why
Not
would you do
smart.
that? Yeah, that's dumb. The plan should have been put in place before they made the call.
There's another reason you should never commit domestic violence of any type.
I got to ask you something about your boy Mitt.
Yes.
Will you be surprised if there's a woman in the past?
On Mitt?
On Mitt.
I would be totally surprised because I think it would have already been revealed.
No, they waiting for him.
Wouldn't be surprised
Obama's
at all.
waiting for him.
You think so?
I think so.
Wouldn't be surprised
No,
at all.
I think Mitt Romney, he comes off. Now, it could be wrong because there's, people, the devil was once an angel.
That's right.
But I just think Mitt Romney is like Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. I think he really is a Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. He comes off to me like Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, never cheated on his wife.
And you know
Politician, they all cheat.
Right. And a woman might
What
not
cynicism.
be his, it might not be his mistress. She might just be somebody who was sitting down and talking to
But
him.
if she's confidential,
Yes.
maybe he's had her whacked.
If there's a phone number.
Maybe she's getting
By the
paid.
way, speaking of Romney's weaknesses, He's rich, but so are many presidents. He's not a regular guy, but so what? Bush II, I voted for him the first time because I thought he seemed like a nice guy to sit down and have a beer with. Look what the hell that got me in the country. He's a poster child for being Mr. One Percenter.
Yes.
And guess how much the percentage of black vote Mitt Romney's going to get? 0.5%.
Will it be that low?
I mean, think about that. Mitt Romney, Obama got 95% of the black vote. How many of the blacks are going to vote for Mitt Romney, Sensible Don? I mean, he's a white guy.
He's a white guy. No doubt about that. He has no soul.
Oh, my God. He's been on the campaign trail singing.
Oh, that was pitiful.
God.
Oh, that
and
was
nobody
pitiful.
joins in. God, but he's like me and Mr. Monotone.
It's like
I was embarrassed for him.
It's like me in the bathroom, but I won't do it outside of that.
That's right. Whose idea was that?
I sing good in the shower.
All of us.
The women, by the way, have banned in Newton, Florida. The women in South Carolina must like cheat a lot. In fact, you know what it is? It's those military bases because they do cheat a lot.
They do cheat a lot.
I know some guys, okay, that worked out in this gym that I worked out, and they used to be down in Norfolk, Virginia, and they said when the Navy ships went out,
that's right.
party time. It was like shooting fish in a barrel.
I guarded the house.
All those Navy wives hitting the bars.
You got some callers lined up.
I actually
We do? All right.
Yeah.
Scott and Florence, say something witty or wise for me, buddy.
Well, another thing Romney's good for, he's for putting the nativity scenes back in the public places.
Well, we would like to have some nativity scenes in public places.
We still have a Supreme Court, Bulldog. It ain't going to happen.
You know what? Hey, Scott, has a nativity scene ever hurt anybody?
Absolutely not.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? What's wrong with the what about this attack at Newt? I don't understand this. Scott, Newt is attacking Romney. Something he was like anti-kosher or something. What?
Yeah. What was that about?
What was that about? I don't even
that.
understand what the issue is. Scott, do you know what the issue is?
Kosher grandmas.
I just sure hope he can beat Obama.
Well, you know that. By the way, that's another. Scott, thank you for that witty and wise statement. You know what? That's another thing that Romney has going for him. He's not Obama.
Can he beat him?
That is correct.
Can he beat him?
Let me see what else do I have here.
I think he can beat him. The question is, will he beat him?
You know, that's a good question. Will he?
Yes, he will.
I think he will. I think we're going to see a lot of changes between now and November.
The next state is Nevada. It's a caucus state. By the way, Romney has won, when he ran against McCain, won 5 out of 6 of the next 6 states, including Michigan, which is like a Romney state. Let me see. Yesterday, Obama was out there with the car companies. He's raised $5.3 million yesterday in one day. Him, Obama, and Biden and Michelle. But he got in all. He likes these Fords. Fords didn't get bailed out.
That is true, isn't it?
California is going to run out of cash in March if they don't come up with $3.3 billion.
Arnold can lend them that money, can't he?
I don't know.
Maybe Mitt could raise that.
Yeah, somebody got
Save California, Mitt.
There you
That'd
go.
be a nice way to do it.
That's
Have
a lot of votes.
Capital save California, then get their votes.
Well, you see what happens.
Well, you don't see Obama saving California.
Nope. No. The Congressional Budget Office, are you ready for this? The CBO. Unemployment is really 10%. The deficit for 2012, $1.1 trillion.
Add on.
And they expect taxes to increase 30% over the next 2 years. The Congressional Budget Office.
It's coming.
Now, here's what drives me nuts. Last year it was $1.6 trillion, the deficit. Now it's $1.1. And these jackwagons that we elect to Congress and Obama can't cut $200 billion. They can't sit down at the table and cut $200 billion at one time. Where is the freaking illusion and delusion these people operate under? We just went from $1.6 trillion, add that to the national debt. Now we got $1.1 trillion. They're in freaking la-la land.
What do you mean? He takes credit for knocking $500 billion off the deficit by doing that.
Those cuts, by the way, are over time. You do know that.
Yeah,
the $500 billion over 10 years.
Right. Well,
so the cuts won't happen.
The next debate is not till February 22nd. How do you like that? Oh, Daryl Issa, who's the head of that subcommittee, he says if Eric Holder does not produce the documents under the subpoena by February the 9th, it's contempt time.
and pardoned by the president.
Doesn't Eric Holder with that mustache look like a black porn star?
Is that Mr. Ding Dong?
I mean, you know what I'm saying, though? Those white guys with those mustaches,
Yeah.
they kind of just look like porn stars.
Yes.
Now, how do you know what these porn stars look like?
Because I've seen movies.
You can't.
I've admitted.
You can't admit
Now
that.
you can't run for president.
By the way, I didn't inhale. It's been a long, long time. By the way, I remember back in the day, I remember going to Keith Shipman's house on a Saturday night. And this was like before DVDs, and they have them stag films reel to reel. Oh my God! Oh my God! They're terrible. The actresses in movies have been upgraded since the 70s.
They have. You went from Playboy finding it in the farm.
That was a penthouse I found.
Okay, whatever. You went from that to stag movies reel to reel.
Yeah, I'm not into that kind of stuff.
The Ivory Girl.
This is the latest in the Democratic National Committee email. I'm tired of the Tea Party shenanigans. Seems every day is a new assault in the middle class or seniors. All in the name of protecting every Tom, Dick, and Harry millionaire's right to not pay 1 red cent in taxes. If we're going to beat them, we've got to get President Obama's back right now. From Jim Carville.
Oh,
Do you believe that?
Carville?
Yeah, listen to that. They don't want to pay 1 red cent in taxes. How do they say this crap with a straight face?
The politicians.
I can't believe he's saying that. That's unbelievable.
Now here's a funny thing. You know this big. Everybody's fighting over who's Reagan. I knew Reagan. Oh, I'm not Reagan. Reagan liked me better. No, we didn't. I did that. Get the latest, okay? Romney did an attack ad on Reagan. They read Reagan's diary, and throughout Reagan's entire diary, they only mentioned Newt one time, and it was in a negative fashion about the defense budget. Now, just think about this. Let's see what the diary says. Sensible Don, have you written bad about me in your diary?
Not yet. Working on it.
Do you believe that's what the world's coming to? They're reading Reagan's diary to see what he said about people.
Who had asked? Is Nancy giving up the diary?
Yeah, apparently. Nancy. I wouldn't want Nancy mad at me.
No. She still carries a little power.
She's a tough woman.
Yeah.
This has been circulating the email traffic, and I think it's worth mentioning. And this is kind of dated because this was at the end of the year. This is if you took the United States tax revenue, the federal budget, the deficit, the national debt, and what they cut in the budget, $38 billion at the end of last year. This if you convert this into a family, if you had annual family income of $21,700, entire family, that means that $21,000 would be spending $38,200.
That's a balanced
That's
budget.
$17,000 more than you're making at 21. The new debt on your credit card would go up $16,500, almost the same as your annual income. And the outstanding balance on your credit card would be $142,000.
That sounds about right.
That is a messed up family.
You got that right.
Well, that's pretty scary.
It is scary when you think about it along those lines.
Yes.
How does any family go forward with that?
They
Right.
can't.
No one understands 1.6 trillion,
But
but they understand that. They understand $50,000 in credit
What I
card
just
debt.
read, folks, is that the family was spending twice as much as they made, and their credit card went up the same amount as they made, and their outstanding balance on their credit card is 8 times what they made.
Makes
Doom.
sense.
You take away their credit card.
When we return, we're going to have fun with Facebook, and we're going to reveal some economic figures from the Wall Street Journal, and generally have some fun. We also want to promote Edgewood Spine and Chiropractic, Gessling Grocery, Golden Diamonds, Grandview Tavern, Horizon Weight Loss Center, and Telechoice Insurance. Some dude named Kurtzman Plastic Surgery, Meyer, Montgomery Inn, Pee-wee's, Reincarnation Auto Body, Rupke Automotive, Snappy Tomato Pizza, Tickets Entertainment Complex, where I'm going to be doing a comedy show, Ultimate Air Shuttle, and Window World. All on Real Talk 1160.
Big changes coming to Real Talk 1160. Make sure you listen all day today. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. Following me will be Laura Ingram, the Radio Addiction. And then following her, Michael Savage. And the Savage Nation premieres here on Real Talk 1160. A lot of cowbell in that song. I think we need a feel-good song to get everybody pumped up as we talk economics. Don't you agree?
No, what we need is
This is an oldie but goodie, Sensible Don. And it's not Ray Charles.
That's right.
It's the greatest rock band in history.
We need more
from
pictures,
Australia.
More pictures of you.
More pictures of me.
How does it feel being a rock star?
Well,
Yeah, I must say it. I was listening on the way in this morning, and
is that hilarious?
oh my God, some 21-year-old girl is squealing. It's like the Beatles are here now.
That's my law school classmate's daughter is a fan.
If he's your law school classmate, he probably knows to keep her away. I'm just guessing.
I'm sure he does. Smart daddy. No,
I've never seen the video for this.
Yeah, the question is she really 21?
Well, that's what he said, my buddy. If
He could be setting you up.
Keep that song playing. This is what Clint said. Eric, just thought I'd let you know my 21-year-old daughter is probably your biggest fan. We're up in Fairfield, Ohio this weekend, and she saw your billboard, and she just squealed. Hope someday we bump into you so she can meet you.
Bring her on next week.
Yes.
We ought to have her call in. By the way, I think I'm going to start having my kids call in. There are some recent things that are happening in our lives which will be pretty good to share.
We will talk to Parker.
Talk to Parker, Charlie Ann,
What about Riley?
Erica. We'll have Riley on with Charlie Ann. It's just not a great song. Just puts you in a good move. Oh, mine. Classic. It's played at every wedding in the United States. Isn't it, TC? Little Angus. You know, Angus is about 3'5". A little guitar. All right, turning to the economy now. What do you all think about Facebook? Today is the big IPO.
IPO.
100 billion.
That's the initial public offering of Facebook. Are y'all going to get in? Are you going to go buy some stock? Facebook?
I'm going to occupy Facebook now.
Why would you want to buy some now? Because it's going to drop, and then you buy.
Yeah.
Well,
Facebook's
who knows?
going to conquer the
I mean,
world.
look what happened to Google.
Yes,
I mean, it came out at 85, and people thought that was too much.
And it just kept going.
And it kept going. It's like, what, 400 or 500 now?
I think Facebook stock will do very well. I think it'll do very well. I think it's a well-ran company. Let's face it, they have a complete monopoly on social networking, in my opinion. I mean, you know, I don't know what the numbers are, but I think they're bigger than Twitter. I mean, I just think Facebook has got a bright future.
They do an
control it.
amazing job. They control a lot. It's incredible the numbers of people on Facebook worldwide.
Does anybody do MySpace anymore? Or is that
Yeah,
pretty much-
MySpace kind of got replaced by Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why,
I never-
how and why, but
I never have MySpace. Never have.
Explain to an ignorant person like me, how do they make money?
They-
Facebook.
They haven't made money.
Well, how? I mean, they haven't.
well, they sell ads.
Okay, how do they make money?
They haven't. That's what they're about ready to do.
Oh, they're about to make some
They're
money.
about ready to make.
Did Google do the same thing?
Yep.
But did I not
They just
see
kept
that-
building value.
And Google's losing money now?
But they've gotten investors. I mean, they've had investors put in money,
A lot of money.
a lot of money.
So
But-
they expect to get it out now.
they expect to rock
yeah.
it and roll it now.
Investors don't invest unless they're getting something out of it.
So you and I
Haven't
gotta
you
pay-
seen Facebook, the movie?
No. Ain't no shooting in it. Will anybody die?
Nobody died.
No, I ain't saw it.
Starring Eric Deters as Zuckerberg.
Oh, and he would be perfect.
A recent study, speaking of new businesses, a recent study found 64% of startups were turned down by banks when seeking loans.
64. That's about right.
You know, either A, the credit's bad, or B, there's a lot of bad ideas.
Well, and
the
also
credit is bad.
banks are not giving up money. I started
Nope.
my new practice 2 years ago, and the bank gave me like less than I could spend on my credit card. It's like, well, gee, thanks. I'll talk to you later.
I am getting some individuals to invest in some things I got going. Like Friday, I meet with somebody that has some interest in investing, and I tell you right now, it's hard today to even find anybody that has money laying around willing to invest.
I thought there was money laying around. These are high people with big money that they want to invest in high risk ventures.
Yeah, but that's on a different level. I'm talking about like if you want to open up a local dry cleaner.
Right.
There's not many people sitting around with money to give you to do that.
You got that kind of money? I'm opening up a dry cleaner. You help me out?
No. I put all my money in my law cases.
But you borrow
know how
all your-
much expert? I got this jail case.
Right.
It cost me $30,000 for my jail expert.
Just to wind it up.
Really? I'd be a jail expert for 25.
Yeah, really.
TC saying
guy.
20. We're having a bidding war
I'm
here.
dropping the teeth.
The good thing is he's an internal medicine doctor and a corrections expert. but still $30,000.
What is he? I hate to ask what he has to do.
I mean, sometimes I got to put that. I mean, I had this one case, $75,000 for doctor experts.
That's a lot of doctors.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of time.
A lot of money.
A whole bunch of money.
Amazon revenue's up 35%, but the profit's down 57%.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the book business isn't good on any front.
There's nobody can read
Unless
anymore.
it's named Kindle.
Yeah, Kindle or Nook.
But don't you have to have a book
You got to have a book.
to make Kindle work?
Yes. Beef prices are up 10% in 2011. They're up 5%. The drought in the Southwest is. I mean, you know, when you think about Obama, these people that think Obama's going to get reelected, okay. Unemployment is 8.5% to 10%, depending on who you talk to. Credit is tight. Gasoline prices have doubled. The beef prices and other commodity prices are up. We got illegal immigration problems. We have hot spots all around the world. We have a devastating federal deficit, budget issues. I mean, the number of problems. How do we reelect this jackwagon?
$1 billion to do it.
And gas, don't forget, doubled in price.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, I want you all to stick around because my last segment of my show, I'm going to share with you the editorial in today's Wall Street Journal, which you will not want to miss. It's classic, and it kind of sums things up where we are. In world news, Syria, man, are getting bashed by everybody, but Russia says, America, stay out. The bloodshed continues. Assad, man, he's all in the bloodshed. Unlike the other people that blink, Mubarak and the rest of them, Assad's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Bring it, baby.
Even Gaddafi blinked.
Right.
Assad saying, I'm all in for bloodshed to hold power.
You head my way, I got around for you.
I wonder if it's worth it because I would never understand this because Gaddafi had a ton of gold.
Yeah.
Pack your gold up and leave. Go down and spend the rest of your life with Chavez in Venezuela.
Well, I don't know how long is he going to be around. He's probably next in line.
Assad?
No, Chavez.
Yeah.
Well, he's dying, isn't he?
He might be dying.
He has cancer.
Iran claims they want to hit us on our soil.
And they will.
Remember back last year when we busted a couple Iranians and they were going to do a bomb in Washington, D.C.? So you know what? When they say this kind of thing, it's not... And you know why? Because you can just walk across the border. Or at least you could walk across the border.
Iran's going all in. They will attack us and Israel soon.
You know what I don't understand? I mean, I really, really don't understand this. What does Ahmadinejad have to say and do? What more does that jackwagon have to say or do for Israel? And I've heard it's a matter of weeks, actually, for Israel. Israel's getting to the point. The New York Times Magazine and Sunday's paper had a great story about where Israel stands. But how much do they have to say and do before the United States and Iran does something? Now, they say that our best bunker busters may not be able to hit the underground nuclear activities of Iran, and we're knocking off their scientists. I mean, the CIA and Israel, we're knocking off their nuclear scientists. But here's what I don't get. If you evaluate where Iran is, first of all, Iraq and Iran are traditional enemies, although you got some of these issues. Iran is Shiite. Saudi Arabia is Sunni. They hate Iran. So if you look at the Middle East, you have Jordan. These are countries that could care less, in my opinion, if we hit Iran. Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Egypt has its own problems, so they're not even a factor in this thing. Kuwait.
Right.
The United Arab Emirates. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, you have Russia. Well, guess what? If Ahmadinejad keeps blowing his mouth, Russia's not going to do anything to us if we do an isolated attack on their nuclear facilities. So I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, how much more gruff are we going to take? China's not either. How much more gruff are we got to take before we send one down the old smokestack?
It has to come.
I mean, I can tell you right now, when you make threats where you say, we're going to attack you, that is an act of war. Is it not?
They had promised to wipe Israel out, period.
Well, they've promised to hit us on our soil now.
They need to go.
I mean, come on.
They need to go because they will attack us.
I mean,
Well, the scary part is most people say, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. We have to wait till something happens.
No.
When something happens, it's too late.
It's too late.
We saw that on 9/11.
Yeah, you won't come back from that.
And ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, you've heard me tell the story that above my toilet at the office is a quote from Al Capone. You get more with a kind word and a loaded gun than a kind word alone.
That's absolutely
Everybody knows how you deal with the bully, and you hit him.
Yep.
And the reality is that if you got this little yapping dog called Iran, and you're walking down the sidewalk, and that yapping dog's yapping at your heels, you got the right to kick that little yapping dog across the street.
Put the pit on it.
Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly, carry a big stick.
And he did that.
And I tell you right now, I dropped that stick right on Iran's head. We come back more with Dr. Kurtzman, Bulldog, TC, and Sensible Don on Real Talk 1160. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Real Talk 1160. We're watching a little segment on the television. I'm going to make fun of all the news just because then nobody can get mad at me. Isn't it amazing how morning news shows, local, national, on all stations, some of the things they come up for filler, like how to talk to your kids.
Yes.
How to coach your kids. How to drive when it's icy.
Well, they need that around here.
That's good information.
That's good information around here.
How to dress when it's cold. I mean, come on.
Some people don't know.
Oh, come on.
You never know.
I think that's ridiculous.
It's called a slow news day.
Let's say we have a transplant from Florida. I moved to Cincinnati, great town. Bengals, Reds, skyline. Ooh, it's cold here. How am I supposed to dress?
Why would you do
You know?
that?
You
Nobody
never
moves
know.
here from Florida. It's the other way around.
Man, thank you.
Yeah,
Why
good
would
point.
you do that?
Yeah, who does that? The FDA has approved a new drug from the New York Times, the first drug that treats an underlying cause of cystic fibrosis rather than just the symptoms, was approved by the Food and Drug Administration on Tuesday, more than 22 years after the gene responsible for the disease was first identified. The drug called Greenwater X, Calideco, and developed by Vertex Pharmaceuticals, counters the effect of one specific mutation in the gene that accounts for 4% or about 1,200 cystic fibrosis cases in the U.S. Boomer Esiason will be happy.
That's devastating.
I'm sure he had part.
thing, yeah.
He's done a lot for cystic fibrosis. He has a whole Gunnar Esiason thing at Children's Hospital. It's a difficult, very, very difficult disease. There's so many advances with all the genes and a lot of the stuff going on now. And you're talking about stem cells, and I know that's always a big topic when we talk about politics. But there's so many advances that goes on because of this, and so many important things. And it's interesting that people are against it, and they talk about Santorum. Then he's got a kid with a genetic disease that could potentially be helped by it.
I'm sorry. When it comes to stem cell research, how do you say it to somebody who has a situation, a paralyzed kid or something? Are you kidding me, man? It's self-preservation, buddy.
Right, and they're using umbilical cord blood. They're using placenta. I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't know why so many people are against it. There's so many things that can be learned.
People used to be against surgery.
It's the same lobby that lobbies against green water on Capitol Hill.
Absolutely.
They lobby against green water every week that we have to battle them. Speaking of green water, you got a green water commercial for us.
Why we do. In fact, we're getting back to our public service announcements. Our galvanized associates say it's good PR work for us. So here we go.
Hi, Dad.
Hello, Susie. How was school today?
Great. I got an A on my history test.
Well, that's wonderful. Another missed opportunity for a parent to warn their child about great tasting, slimy, living green water. Available at Queen Cake.
By the way, we are in negotiations with Marcel Marceau, who's going to be our radio spokesman.
Who writes these things? I want them as my writer.
You're looking at him.
Hey,
Some guy in Hebron, Kentucky.
are we still working on the Super Bowl sponsor?
Yes, we are. We are.
Are we gonna use George Clooney's third grade classmate who sat next to him?
We're in negotiations with someone who might have seen that third grade classmate.
Okay.
Yes.
I wonder if his daughter squealed.
Can you imagine a
When she
commercial?
drank the green water,
Can you imagine a commercial goes like this? Hi, my name is Bill. And I once knew a third grade classmate who sat next to George Clooney. And I'm here to tell you about green water.
Celebrity endorsement, baby.
I like
Star
it.
power.
I like it.
I don't think there's anything they could do about it.
That'll work.
Probably
I mean, it's just a reference.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I'm a tricky guy.
Star power.
You know, if I wasn't a lawyer, I'd love to be in marketing. I love thinking of ideas and things like that.
Be in marketing and a lawyer.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like today's promo. I had a good. What was my promo today? I forgot what it was, but it was pretty good. What was my promo? I put it up on my. They put it up on my Facebook page. God, I can't believe I forgot what it was. At the break, maybe I'll think about it. So what's going to happen politically? What do you think's going to happen from here politically? Dr. Kurtzman from Kurtzman Plastic Surgery Group.
Well, I think all 4 candidates are going to stay in the Republican nomination. I think it's going to really be very clear very soon that Romney is going to get the nomination. Then the next talk is going to be who is going to get the vice presidential nomination.
Do you think he will choose somebody he's ran against? It won't be Newt.
It won't be Newt.
No.
It won't be Sarah.
Do you know, it amazes me, the egomaniacness in a way. Like Newt Gingrich, he is so mad now, he's lost all sense of whatever. And see, I've kind of accepted, because I'm an anti-Romney guy. But, you know, I've come to the realization, okay, that's what it's going to be. The sooner they stop all the BS, the better.
Well, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. I think there is a lot of BS, and I think a lot of things are coming out. But remember, there can't be any worse than what they're going through now. So all the bad stuff's coming out now. It's only February 1st. They got till November for the election. They're going to get through all this stuff. All the crap's out. And if they didn't bring it out now, Obama would bring it out later. So it's out. There's nothing bad more to say. It's like all positive stuff in the future. And I think once we have the nomination, once we pick the vice president, then everybody can really stand behind that pair to really go on and beat Obama in the fall.
Here's an elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. But, of course, me being Mr. Originality, I'm going to bring it up. And that's this. There are people in the Obama campaign team that speak of the Republicans and the Tea Party as if they want bad things to happen because all they care about is beating Barack Obama. And I just want to go on the record, and I will say this. I will say it loud and proud. I want the economy to improve. I wish the credit situation in this country would improve. I wish the regulatory policies of our government would change. I wish the employment picture in this country would change. And if this country got on a roll going in the right direction, I would have to admit I would be very happy. Now, I know that's not going to happen. And I think it would be a absolute terrible, because I'm going to say what everybody's thinking. Would be an absolute tragedy that by some quirk of fate, the unemployment picture keeps dropping, when we're really in a ton of trouble. But the image of Barack Obama having something to do with that, because let me tell you something, the few positives that are happening in the American economy are happening despite Obama. And I'm telling you, I'm one that says this. I would rather we be on automatic pilot pain where we are right now, all the way to the election, to make sure we beat Obama, than this economy improve just enough to get him reelected, but still be in disaster mode.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
But nobody wants to say that. Yes, I'm willing to say I don't want the economy to prove to where Obama gets reelected, but we're really still behind the 8 ball. I want Obama to be defeated.
It won't happen. I keep telling you, 92% of the people in this country are working.
No, it can happen. I think.
No, they aren't. Are you nuts?
92%.
50% of the people aren't working, Don.
92% of the people that want to work in this country are working.
Say want to work. That's not true.
Yes,
yeah, a lot of people don't want to work, though. That's part of the problem.
That's the problem. But the fact is, the people who want to work are working in this country. They're begging for people to drive the bus every day. They're looking for people to drive the bus.
By the way, Mitt Romney in his speech last night summed it up very well. If you want to elect the president that's promising you all the free goodies, I'm not the guy. That's what Barack Obama is. He's the free goody president.
And guess what? People vote for him.
I know. There's a ton of people that vote for him.
There's a lot of people that vote for him. People are afraid of change. People are afraid of something new. But he's made these promises 3 years ago. He hasn't followed through. The country's in a shambles. It's time to move forward. I, like Eric, say the same thing. I would love to vote for Obama because the economy's better, because the deficit's down, because jobs are up. I'd love to vote for him and say, hey, he's done a great job. I didn't vote for him last time. He did a great job this time. But you can't. I mean, in 3 years, you can't keep blaming the old administration. It's time to take responsibility. It's time to do what you say, and it's enough of this tax and spend.
Can you imagine an NFL football coach, after 3 years saying, well, Wade Phillips, this is let's say Jason Garrett of the Cowboys. Well, you know what I inherited from Wade Phillips, 3 years ago, it was just terrible. Are you kidding me? When you have teams like the Bengals that go from bad to playoffs, almost, and you know what I mean? You cannot blame Bush anymore, and they still try to do that.
Well, the beautiful thing is when you come after bad, it only makes it easier for you.
Right.
Yeah, because if you had, this coach was lousy, now somebody new comes in and improves. But if you're coming in after a Super Bowl winner, there's nowhere to go but down.
Nobody says this either, Sensible Don. I know a lot of people that voted for Obama that are not going to vote for him this time. And I have never even heard. I have not heard of one single person who didn't vote for Obama that says, I'm going to vote for Obama now. In other words, who is he recruited from the other side?
Absolutely.
Nobody.
We're dealing with ignorant folks. Money could buy their senses.
Simple as that. When we come back, you're not going to want to miss this. The article's called $5 trillion and change on Real Talk 1160.
Real Talk 1160, not going public, but we are on Facebook. You can keep tabs of your favorite talk show hosts and listen to live streaming. Log on to Facebook.com/Real Talk 1160. And now back to the Bulldog.
Eric Deters on Real Talk 1160, and we've covered it all. Local news, national news, Florida, the post-debate on Florida as they go to Nevada. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase and read some things from an article, editorial in the Wall Street Journal this morning, and then get Dr. Kurtzman and Don's thoughts on it. It's called $5 trillion and change. The political strategy behind Obama's economics was always simple. Call for stimulus to rescue the economy, run up the debt with the biggest spending blitz in 60 years, and then when the deficit explodes, call for higher taxes. The Congressional Budget Office annual review released yesterday shows this is all on track. CBO reports that annual spending over the Obama era has climbed to a projected $3.6 trillion this fiscal year from $2.98 trillion in fiscal 2008, or more than 20%. I want to remind everybody that the Democrats and Obama controlled both houses and the executive branch 2008 and 9. The government spending burden was averaged 24% of GDP, up an average of 20%. That doesn't include the $2 trillion tab for Obamacare. All this has increased the federal debt by about $5 trillion in mere 4 years. Thanks to higher revenues, the federal deficit will decline to $1 trillion in 2012. But that is still the highest deficit since 1946, except the previous 3 years. In other words, the 4 years of the Obama's presidency will mark the 4 highest years in spending and deficits as a share of the economy since Harry Truman sat in the Oval Office. And don't forget the national debt held by the public, the kind we have to pay back. On President Obama's watch, CBO says public debt will climb this year to 72% of the economy from 40% in 2008. This isn't as high as Italy or Greece, but it's rising fast toward the 90% level that begins to debilitate an economy. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, 40% in 2008 to 72% in 3 years. We pause from this gloom for some good news. Despite the abuse they've taken, House Republicans have made some fiscal progress. CBO estimates that overall federal spending in 22 will grow by only $3 billion or less than the 1%, of course, because they control the House and they can block. The other part of the fiscal story is that for revenues have been in the tank for 5 years. The drought, 2 main causes. First, the anemic recovery in jobs and investment isn't spinning off enough for new output to boost tax receipts. Second, a series of non-stimulative tax cuts and payroll tax holidays in 2011 depleted the Treasury with little economic benefit. The most amusing part of the CBO's report is its projection that the deficit will fall to $269 billion in 2015, or a mere 1.5% of GDP. But this is fiscal fantasy because current law never holds. CBO predicts, for example, that all the Bush tax cuts will go away next year. Even the Keynesians who run CBO concede that the 2013 tax hike on capital gains, dividends, estates, and small business would knock economic growth down to 1% next year. And remember the calculation that I did, folks, that if we taxed those that made over $250,000 30% like Obama wants, it only brings in $100 billion more a year than what's coming in now. Ladies and gentlemen, our budget is projected for 2012 to be $1.1 trillion. So Obama's position, the cure-all, taxing those 250,000 and up 30%, gives us 1/11th of the gap. Those people in Washington that say we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem, are correct. Now get this. To sum it all up, CBO's facts plainly show that Mr. Obama has the worst fiscal record of any president in modern times. No one else is even close.
It's good.
Your comment.
I think it's great that he's best at something there. But yeah, to the tax and spend. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just wonder, how can this guy Obama look in the mirror and then try to be honest with the American public, look at his record, look what's being done. And then the second question is, how can the American public even consider reelecting this guy?
That smug look he gets on his face, like at the State of the Union addresses, where he holds his nose up a little bit, when he's going back and forth to the teleprompter left and right, and he says something, like with indignation, he sticks his nose up in the air. I want to slap him.
Oh, and then when he starts saying, well, if the Republicans, were agreeable on Congress, we wouldn't be in this problem. Are you kidding me?
They keep passing a balanced budget. and how do you justify that? You are against a balanced budget.
He's just at a loss. I mean, he's there for the power. He's there as a figurehead, but he's not doing what he promised. He's not doing what the American people need.
Just like any other politician in the past, the fact is 45% of people that support Obama want their money. They want their free stuff.
Yeah, they just want stuff free.
And they don't care how much it costs the American people. Plus, Obama has been playing the rich against the poor since he took that office. That's why I didn't vote for him. So what would you expect? That's what he's doing.
I have clients from all socioeconomic groups, all right? And I also get out and about a lot, okay? And in my interaction with those people that are on heavy government programs, all right, I marvel how they know how the system works. I'm not talking about those people that hit hard times and God bless them, go get your food stamps. There is a huge, huge segment of our society, and it's just the reality of it is concentrated in our biggest cities. Right. Concentrate in our biggest cities. They know how to game the system. The health care issues, the freebies for health care, the freebies for food, the freebies for housing, the government programs, the entitlements. And what happens is they grow up in the second, third generation of this stuff, and it's just the reality. They don't have any plan. Why? They're in Section 8 housing. They're getting food stamps for food. They got medical card for their medicine. So they got health care, food, and housing covered. Where the hell's the motivation to go work?
And guess where those people go vote? Guess who they go vote for?
The guy that's going to keep it coming.
Thank you very much.
On our backs.
Thank you very much. And those people will be lined up at a bus stop, and that me as a bus stop will take them to the polls and give them a pack of cigarettes if you vote for Obama. Simple as that. It works that way.
Sad.
And these people been gaming the system from day one and will never hit a lick of work. Like I say, 98% of the people that want to work in this country are working in this country.
Randy the Preacher and I used to have this discussion at the programs that were set up by FDR. And a lot of debate whether they're good and bad. But here's what so happens. Once you start giving away something, right, the politicians are afraid to end it. In other words, the policies that were set up by FDR and even extended big time by Lyndon Johnson.
Oh.
I mean, who said this? Who says this in American history? That those programs are first of all, they're not an inalienable right. Our inalienable right is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right. Not Medicare, not Social Security. And the Democrats and Obama act like those are inalienable rights. They are not inalienable rights. And I'm sorry, folks. I'm somebody that wants to do rid of all of them. I want the long-term game plan and to start short-term to get rid of Social Security, to get rid of Medicare. I'm talking about getting rid of all of it because I'm a believer that if you have a rip-roaring economy, it all takes care of itself. You don't need those entitlement programs.
You're absolutely right.
And if somebody wants to starve because they're lazy, sounds harsh, starve.
But guess what? This country will not let you starve to death. You go behind Kroger's any day of the week and get all you want to eat, if you want to.
Any closing comments, Dr. Kurtzman?
Well, I think that the American public needs to wake up. I think they need to look in the mirror. I think they need to say, what's good for the people. Entitlements? Absolutely not. It's time to move forward. He proved himself for 3 years. It's time for change.
Don't you see how when we had women guests in the studio, how it pulls us down, Dr. Kurtzman, and how we've redeemed ourselves with radio superbity?
This is radio superbity at its best right here.
The doc promised me a doll, though. I got to have something that looks like a female.
Yeah, by the way, I want everybody to know the only person complaining is Sensible Don.
That's right. Females, you can't live like that. How do anybody live without a woman to look at?
Dude, you have 22 hours in the day. Set aside 2 hours in the morning to do a radio show.
Like they say, you can't live with them, you can't live without them.
But 2 hours without a look at.
Did you hear that Herman Cain had Secret Service assigned to him, but he started sexually harassing?
That's right.
And they had to cancel it.
If I had Secret
I just
Service,
made that up. I'm teasing.
Females.
We come back. We'll have more radio superbity tomorrow on Real Talk 1160.